Is this the creepiest disappearance of all time? Pretty much every day, Everett would grab a book, run away from his family's home, and wander off onto a long walk without any adults or any siblings. Everett's high school years were right at the start of the Great Depression, which definitely affected his ideas for the future, of course. Now, Everett's father had helped thousands of struggling people who came through his church's doors looking to him for spiritual guidance. And so when Everett decided that he wanted to drop out of high school at 17 years old and head into the deserts of Arizona and New Mexico, all in search of his own spiritual guidance, well, his parents and his brother, though they felt kind of weird about it, certainly couldn't stop him. It was spring of 1931, and he was heading east on a horse. Everett was essentially doing his best impression of being this kind of like vagabond character, right? Everett often wrote letters back home to his parents, and in these letters, he spoke of the freedom that he was experiencing so far off the grid, the beauty of the landscapes and the people, and the peace that he found while he was out there. Not all of Everett's letters were positive. He wrote things like, quote, "I must pack my short life full of interesting events and creative activity. Then I shall go on some last wilderness trip to a place I have known and loved. I shall not return." In 1932, now 18-year-old Everett spent 7 more months in the Southwest before returning home for Christmas once again. And in 1933, Everett took to the trails once more, spending 5 months trekking from Los Angeles all the way to the top of California. From here, his next travels would be into mostly uninhabited territories of southwestern Utah. Weeks and weeks would go by, and Christmas 1934 came and went at the Ruess household. They did not get even a single letter from Everett. So at this point, Everett's family began to panic, right? And so he hired several parties of ranchers, cowboys, and even Navajo guides to go out into Davis Gulch and to look for his son. But every single time they went out, they came back having found nothing. And then, finally, after weeks of this, a group of searchers came upon an incredibly disturbing sight in a shaded area of Davis Gulch. They found Everett's 2 donkeys alive, but they were tied up to a tree with food and water next to them. And nearby, they found Everett's actual campsite. Everything perfectly arranged, almost as though Everett was creating one final portrait of the vagabond life that he was leaving behind. And to finish it off, they found a signature on a nearby rock wall, but the signature didn't have Everett's name, but instead it had his alias. This alias was Nemo, and next to it he signed the year 1934. And in case you didn't piece this together by now, the only thing they didn't find in this campsite was Everett. Over 90 years later, we're still asking the same question. What happened to Everett Ruess? Did he slip into a canyon? Did outlaws silence him? Did he take his own life? Or did he simply vanish on purpose, erasing himself from the world?